Welcome back to the Surround Sound Podcast. I am your host, R. Hunter Jr., the truth and not a rumor. And yes, we are still on first name basis, so you can call me RJ. I don't know. I think I got to make that a thing, Troy. We were on sabbatical for about 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, I'm talking about some of everything happened. I'm talking about the NBA totally got flipped up, turned upside down. And in a shout out to the WWE, I think we are officially in the NBA's Attitude Era. Then came World Cup. And the women winning the World Cup was an afterstatement. For they waged a war that was way more than just a battle between some of the countries in the sport of soccer. Then you had baseball, All-Star game, and just the meat of the season. Then in all this activity, you had the 4th of July, and you had Colin Kaepernick, and you had everything that went down with the shoes and fighting for equality and this, that, and the third. And that's a whole nother thing in its own right. And that was going to be my subject matter for the Sign of the Times. I had it wrote out and everything. It was going to be, the name of it, the title was Souls for Souls. Yeah, I thought that was kind of nice. Souls, like your soul, for souls, as in your shoe. Well, before I even got to my dad's birthday, which is July 7th, I had to scrap that whole thing because Governor Bill Lee made some interesting decisions when it comes to the thought that he has to follow the law. Now, this past weekend, Bill Lee came under fire from Republicans and Democrats alike after signing a proclamation designating Saturday, July 13th, as Nathan Bedford Forrest Day, a state day of special observance honoring a Confederate general and early leader of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, just off top, for record, I get it that you want to remember your history, but it's kind of hard to remember the losers. Like you lost. Like, to even the whole thought process of saying that I'm proud of my heritage in the fact that my heritage is in the Confederacy totally goes against what the United States is for the most part right now. The Confederacy succeeded away from the Union. So that means they were essentially the Benedict Arnolds of that time period. They were traitors. They said, no, we do not want to be a part of the United States because thus and so. Another story for another day. We're going to leave that where it is. Okay. When Governor Lee tried to, well, not tried to, but sign this bill into existence, we had to bring people, or people had to come from across the state, the United States, to come in and say, hey, bruh, you're not right. Namely Ted Cruz. Now, if you have been listening to the earlier part of this show, Ted Cruz ain't a saint. By no stretch of the imagination. So for everybody that's on Instagram and on Facebook, you make sure you download the show from the iHeartRadio app and from the Apple Podcast so you can hear what Ted Cruz did in relationship to Arizona and Colin Kaepernick and Nike. You about can guess it. But the fact that a governor or another congressperson had to come in and tell our governor. That's not right. Lee, what you got going on, bro? Get your mind right. But let's look at the law, though. Tennessee law stipulates that the governor must declare 6 days to be days of special observance, and this is the kicker, and invite the people of the state to observe the days in schools, churches, and other suitable places with appropriate ceremonies expressive of the public sentiment befitting the anniversary of such dates. Now, that part in the middle, invite the people of the state, that's what we're going to focus on. Because that is very interesting. But we're going to focus on that in a minute. Those days include Robert E. Lee Day, the honoring of the commander of the Confederate Army on January the 19th, Abraham Lincoln Day on February the 12th, Andrew Jackson Day on March 15th, Confederate Decoration Day, I've never even heard that, celebrating the birthday of the Confederate President Jefferson Davis on June 3rd, and Veterans Day on November 11th. Now, I think what really like gets people's panties in a bunch about Nathan Bedford Forrest is the fact that not only was he a Confederate general, but he also is the leader of the Ku Klux Klan. Or he organized, he started, he was the grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, the founder even. Now, I've heard that he changed later on in life, this, that, and the third. Hey, it is what it is. But they are not remembering him for the fact that he changed. They are remembering him for being a part of the Confederacy. Now, with that being said, let's get back to this. Invite the people of the state to observe the day, to observe this special observance day in schools and churches and other suitable places. Okay, since I'm a product of MTSU, I'm a Blue Raider. There is a building that I took a class in called Forest Hall. This building is somewhat special to the Army, the ROTC, all this, that, and the third. So, of course, it relates to Nathan Bedford Forrest. Since I have graduated, they have been clamoring to remove that name off the building. So, when it comes to schools, I don't think that's a school that they want to have that observance in. Number one. Number two, in Memphis, they removed an entire statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest from Tom Lee Park. We're going to talk about Tom Lee in a minute. Even in the Mid-State, in Nashville, at the Capitol building, they wanted a bust of the man removed. Now, I understand, Governor Bill Lee, that you want to follow the law, but the law states that you want to invite the people of the state to observe the date. But the people of the state don't want the date. Am I the only one that sees that conflict of interest there? Maybe I got special glasses on, that's why I'm able to see it. Getting back to Tom Lee. Governor Lee said that he did not want history to be whitewashed by having, said things removed. And he was namely speaking to the bust in the state capitol. He didn't want it to be removed because people will forget about history. What's funny is I always wanted to know who Tom Lee was. Because in Memphis, during Memphis in May, this park named after this guy named Tom Lee holds a lot of events, namely the barbecue cooking contest and the Memphis in May Beale Street Music Fest. Now, growing up in Memphis, I never knew who the dude was. Speaking of history. But in doing research for this topic, I found out. Tom Lee was a gentleman that saved 32 lives when a riverboat capsized in the Mississippi River. He was also black. That's just secondary to saving lives. So I think it would be fitting that for a guy that was born in the 1800s, I don't think those two gentlemen, Jefferson Davis and Nathan Bedford Forrest, really wanted to see that guy at all in a positive light. Bill Lee, do the right thing, brother. Just do the right thing. 4, Troy in the booth. For Matasha back in the borough. For Nicole in Laverne. And for myself, I'm All Hunter Jr., the truth and not rumor. In the words of the scholar Jerry Springer, be good to yourself and each other.